Hi, I'm Mr. Huber, and in this video I would like to introduce the graphs of the sine and cosine function. Well, before we start, let's have another look at the unit circle. Well, you can clearly see a unit circle with radius 1 here. You can see the radian measure 0.64, and you can see the degree measure, which is the corresponding value in degrees, 36.41 degrees. Well, this point does have an x coordinate and a y coordinate. Well, the x coordinate is in fact your cosine value, and the y coordinate is your sine value. As you travel along this circle, these two values travel with them. Now look here, sine is positive, cosine is positive. Over here, you know this very well. Well, cosine negative, sine positive. In the third quadrant, both are negative, in the negative, in the negative. And here in the fourth quadrant, the cosine is positive again, whereas the y value and the sine value is negative. Now you see, as I travel along this circle, you can see the arc length here. Okay, you don't have to look at the degrees for the moment, only at this arc length. So let's zoom out a bit. Now look like this. You can see I have plotted one x-axis, if you want, from 0 to 2 pi. And as I travel along this unit circle, it travels with me. Well, it starts at 0, now it travels to pi halves, it goes to pi, now it goes to 3 pi halves, and now 2 pi. Very easy to understand. Okay. Now what we do is we're going to plot the sine values. Okay. Well, the sine values is in fact the y coordinate. Let's do that. For every arc, we're going to plot the sine value. So I'm going to put this length over here. So let's switch it on. Look, I've put it over here. I can switch it off again and it leaves a dot here. Let's carry on. Let's put another dot. It went up to a bit below 1. Carry on. Another dot. It's now in the negative. You see, I'm plotting these points. And now you get a sense of the values. It seems to go up to 1 more or less, and then it goes down to -1, and it goes up to 0 again. Well, let's see what happens. Here we go. Now switch on sine permanently. Look, as I go up, here I started 1, as I go up, this is going to be your sine function. Here we go. Let's do it. Let's make it a bit bigger. Here we go. This will be our graph of the sine function. Only one period length, okay? It would carry on, because here I'm only looking at one full term, okay? So it goes from 0 up to 1, then it goes down to 0, it goes even further down to -1, and then it goes up to 0 again. Very easy. And it's always between 1 and -1. Pretty clear, because you look, your sine is always between 1 and -1. So let's do the same thing with cosine. Now look, we're going to plot this length as a y value. I know it's the x value here, but I'm going to plot it as a y value for this arc length, because That gives me the value of my cosine. Here, I could again do it like this and plot a few dots. Let's try that. And I think you can see what's happening. It will do something like this. So let's leave it switched on. Switch on cosine. It starts at 1, goes down to 0, goes even further down to -1, goes up to 0 again, and then it goes to 1. Again, 1 period length of your cosine. Let's have a look at the range. It's again between 1 and -1, because it's always in this unit circle. Now, wiggle this around a bit in order to get rid of the two graphs, or of the graph. And now let's plot both graphs at the same time. Now I'm plotting the length of this value here, or the value of this length here. In fact, the y value of this point and the x value of this point, but both as y values. Now look, this is what's happening here. These are the two curves. The blue one is your sine curve, and the red one is your cosine. Get rid of these things for the moment. Let's switch on cosine again, because you want to know for a certain arc length. Let's go to sine first. For a certain arc length, you want to know your sine. So it makes sense to plot it like this. It makes sense. For every arc length you plug in, you want to know your sine. So that's the y value of your function, which corresponds to the y value on the unit circle, okay? But now look, if you wanted to do the same thing with cosine, you want to know the value for the cosine, because it's a correspondence. For every x value, you get a cosine value. So that will be your output. So that's why we put it as a y value here, only to see what the cosine does. And this will be your graph, 1 period length of it, from 0 to 2 pi. Well, it would carry on if you went up to 4 pi or whatever, but here I'm only drawing 1 arc length. I hope it wasn't too difficult. See you on the next one.